Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our live stream having to do with Comictopia. With me are Fabrice Sapolsky of Fair Square Graphics. He's got a book called No Future. Sarah White from Laguna Studios and their book, is it Granica?
Granica, yeah.
Granica. And of course, Dave Franchini from Zenoscope. And he wrote the Cinderella Omnibus. So we also have Fish Lee scheduled to join us, and he'll jump in once he gets here. We already have Gabriel in the chat saying, howdy there, partners. How's everyone doing? All right, I am Dan Wickline. We're doing the Karma book for Dynamite. And what we're doing is we all have books on Comictopia. The crowdfunding. And we're hoping to give you guys an idea of what we're doing and what the books are about, and maybe entice you to back us. So we should probably get this thing started. Dave, we'll start with you.
What's up?
You and I go way back.
Yes, 15 years.
Yeah. You are now one of the big cheeses over at Zenoscope, and you are writing Cinderella. But this is not the Cinderella everybody knows from like Disney movies. Tell us about Zenoscope Cinderella.
Well, basically, Cinderella exists in our Grimm universe, and our Grimm universe itself is already a dark, twisted version of the fairy tales we already know. Kind of going back to the way they were meant to be, but also we amp them up a little bit. So Cinderella, the best way to describe her is kind of like Deadpool and Harley Quinn smushed together, and then a little more like she's evil. Like, so she's not really a great person, but she's trying to be a better person. And that's basically, these stories are her on her adventures, basically trying to discover herself, but also murder, maim, and have fun while doing it. So, and that's this omnibus is basically a collection of, let me see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 of her stories that we've never collected before. So,
cool. So yeah, Cindy didn't come around till after I was doing my stuff over there. So she's a newer character to me. I have read some of the books. A little bit of, I don't know, Harley Quinn meets Deadpool.
Yeah.
With the homicidal side. Everybody else's screen freeze or just mine?
I'm good.
Thank you, yours.
Okay. Well, then I'm just going to keep talking and hoping you guys are seeing good stuff. Sarah, why don't you tell us about Granica?
Granica is about a computer engineer who books a ticket to Mars on what is called a houseboat, which is basically a floating deluxe hotel room, and it's got enough stuff in it to keep the people alive for the time that it takes to get to Mars. And Ness is the engineer, and they took a job chaperoning a couple of really rich corporate kids whose father works at Granica, which is the overarching, evil corporation. And they're all going to fly over there, and when Ness arrives to the spaceport to get on the ship, there's a person there that they don't know, and they're like, who are you? And so they have to navigate through all of that. But also, Ness has this travel pet, which is a robot cat, basically. But it's more than just a regular robot cat. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it's it's a more than just, it's a very special cat. And so it's the cat can talk. That's not spoiling because it's right there on the campaign page. And you kind of start to get an idea that there's something really special about that cat, and there's something maybe sinister about that fourth person whose name's Jerry. There's something weird about Jerry that we don't know, and Ness is trying to suss that out throughout the first issue here. And it started its life as a radio play, so that was fun to edit down.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, but radio play's got to be interesting because you got to include all the sound effects and all that other stuff. So at least you have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a challenge, and I think I broke the writer's heart about 1,000,000 times over, turning that thing into a comic book script.
All right, Fabrice,
Yes.
tell me about the future of No Future.
The future of no future is that everything is canceled. The future is canceled, and tomorrow is yesterday. That's my tagline. So what happens in New Future is there's an event at the beginning of the first issue. There's an event, and in that event, time freezes, then goes backward, and everything that you knew is gone. There's no plans for tomorrow because tomorrow is yesterday, and days keep erasing themselves, except for these four people that are survivors, and that we meet in the first issue. And we're going to follow these four people as they try to understand what happened to the planet and how to solve it if they can. And you're going to have these interactions, and you're going to have plenty of events in the future, in their future, because they're the only ones who remember that there's actually a world after the world is erased. And it's I often compare this concept to The Walking Dead, except instead of zombie, the enemy is time, and you can't stop something you can't see. And so there's a lot of mysteries, and it's very character based, and I am very much in love with this concept that is drawn by the very terrific Eder Messias, and has covers from Eder, myself, and Koi Fan.
Oh, nice. So, okay. I should probably say what Karma is. Very different than the rest of the titles we have. I mean, we got 2 sci-fi and fantasy adventure. Karma is similar to books like Sunstone and Sweet Paprika. It's a erotic romantic fiction based on 20 years that I spent doing model photography and kind of taking some of the weird events that I dealt with, interesting little things, and sewing them into basically a romantic comedy aspect to meet cute, the whole thing like that. And then just really up the sexiness in it. So this is the second volume. The first one came out a couple years ago, did really well. And it was about the two characters. Alex is very straight-laced photographer who spent his life as an advertising guy, now entering this other world, and Karma, this up-and-coming supermodel. Well, the first book was them coming together. The second book is dealing with all of the trials and tribulations of having a relationship, all of this stuff from the outside forces, whether it's people, changes of career, changes of life that put pressure on a relationship. Those are all aspects here. And then I throw in this former child star turned pop icon who just seems to want to cause chaos in their lives. So that's the second volume. It's who just seems to want to. What was that?
That was my fault. I clicked on the Comictopia thing, and it was playing our video.
Oh, okay.
Oops.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the basics of Karma. All right. I'm having a real hard time here with the fact that my entire screen is frozen. So I'm going to step out and come back in. But Fabrice, why don't you tell us a little bit about Fair Square and what you have going on there?
Why don't you ask Mr. Fish to introduce himself first?
I didn't even know Fish was here. Fish, how are you?
He's here. He's waiting. He's
Your
waiting.
screen is bad frozen. I've been here for a minute.
Yeah, my entire screen is frozen. I'm not seeing
Fish
anything
first.
from it.
You come back, and then I'll talk to you about my stuff.
All right, Fish, tell us about yourself, and the book, and I will be right back.
Alrighty. First off, I apologize for being late. I'm notoriously early to these things. I had to go by the post office, and as I go to pull my wallet out to put a receipt in from the packages, every card in my wallet shot out like it was spring-loaded, shoots all across the floor of the post office in a beautiful pattern. And then I had to go gather everything up. So it made me late. I apologize. I am the writer and creator of Alice Lost in Wonderland, which is on BackerKit right now as part of Comictopia. And it follows a full-grown Alice who's been lost in this interdimensional rift between worlds that is called by many names. Some people call it Neverland or Oz. She called it Wonderland as a kid. And all those things that we've ever heard of as stories are all different alien planets and stuff that have been crashing in together. And you've got like criminal warlords like the Queen of Hearts that rules Glass City. You've got like fantasy dwarves living in a city carved out of actual giant emeralds, in Oz. All of these different places are crashing together. She's got the Tin Man as her ancient clockwork guardian by her side, and she's got half of the Vorpal sword on her hip that can cut through reality. So she cuts holes in time and space and travels and can go anywhere she wants, but she can't find her way back home again.
Nice. I heard most of that too. By the way, I also want to welcome Ed to the chat. Anybody in the chat, if you guys have questions for any of the creators or anything about Comictopia, please feel free to ask, and we will get you the best answer we can. Don't promise that it'll be right, but it will be an answer. All right, Fabrice, tell me about Fair Square Comics. What you got going on over there?
So first, now we are Fair Square Graphics. It might be silly, but in June, when we turned 5, it was the 5th anniversary of the company, we decided to change the name slightly from Fair Square Comics to Fair Square Graphics. And as ridiculous as it is, it has had an immediate impact on our distribution. Why? Because a lot of retailers wouldn't simply order any of our titles because there were comics in the name. And that's really upsetting me. But at one point, you need to play the game if you want to survive. So we changed to Fair Square Graphics. This is who we are now. But we keep using the Fair Square Comics name that we own for the Kickstarters and the backer kits and the conventions. So if you see Fair Square Comics somewhere, it's not a mistake. It's because we keep the name going because people might be, might know us from before. So, but going forward, every book is going to be Fair Square Graphics. That being said, the company is the only family, immigrant, and minority-owned publisher of graphic novels. And again, we're a family-owned company. We're moms and pops. It's me, my wife, and my kid. We're doing about 30 shows a year. We're distributed through Diamond, and we're doing between 12 and 15 graphic novels a year, plus four crowdfunding campaigns. So we're keeping ourselves busy. I'm not gonna lie, it's not an easy task doing everything, but we're doing it with a smile. Some of our biggest titles are a book called Noirs in the Black, which is our absolute best-selling title. We sold over 7,000 copies of it. We were recently nominated for an Eisner Award for this book, A Boy Named Rose, which is a gender-fluid book that I had the honor and pleasure to translate from French into English. And another one of our bestsellers is this book, A Fox in My Brain, which is a book about mental health, but done in a very cute manga style, duotone. It's very, very popular. The first printing is almost gone. I think there's 50 copies left of the distributor. So it's a pretty good success. And two other things that I can show you. One is Lady Bird, which is one of my other creator-owned. I have 5 creator-owned books that I've published, and No Future is the 6th one. And I'm going to have another one next year. So I'm trying to have, among all the books that we publish, at least one creator-owned book, because it's not just about the business, it's also about having fun and creating comics. And our latest book, which came out last week, is a book called Tunis to Sydney, which is a slice of life book, moving book, about this character. Her name is Lydia. She loses her parents in a car crash, but she's 10,000 miles away from her home country. She has to deal with loss, and this tree that she holds here is the only thing that connects her to her past. And there's a story around that. So beautiful book. And our next book, that I'll just have the print here, is a manga version of the Three Musketeers that we're going to release late August, early September. So there's plenty of stuff. We're doing all genre, all styles, and again, all by a majority of creators that are underrepresented. Everyone that is involved with the company keep their creative rights. That's part of our deal, and we try to just be us, you know.
All right, very cool. Sarah, I don't know much about Laguna Studios. Why don't you let us all know what's going on there?
Laguna Studios is actually fairly new. We come from we used to be Unlikely Hero Studios, and then we reformed in August of 2023. So we're just about a year old now, getting close. And we are woman owned. It's Lori and me, and we co-founded the studio together. And a lot of the creators have followed us. So we have lots of great titles, like we have The Surgeon, which I would say The Surgeon's our flagship title probably, which is the book about Doc Hanover, Jenny Hanover. She is traveling the wasteland of America, exchanging her services as a doctor to those who need it in exchange for what she needs.
Sarah,
Yes.
people are saying they're having a hard time hearing you. Can you either bring your mic closer or?
I was having the same problem before, and then Jeffrey messed with my stuff, and I thought it was fixed. Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, lots better.
Okay. Yeah, it used to be fine, and now all of a sudden something happened to it, and now I have to pull the mic all the way down.
Damn it, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. So the Surgeon, and we've got a couple of sexy titles now, and we have what else? We have Warp Hustler just came out last year, which is really, really weird. Oh yeah,
it is such a beautiful book. It is.
Fish
my
got to
favorite
read an
book.
advanced copy.
Oh my god, it's favorite thing I read last year. Absolutely.
It is a super weird book, but it's very cool, and it ran into some problems. We ran into some out of our control problems when we were running the Kickstarter, so it didn't do quite as well as it should have. So I hope that we can do another book soon. And let's see, what else do we have? We have Power Broker, which is about what if you could buy superpowers, which is a pretty cool concept. And we've got a couple of art books, like we did The Art of Ian Richardson, and we've got 2 volumes of that now. We just finished kickstarting the 2nd volume, and then we've got The Art of Stan Yak, and we are actually doing a whole bunch, we're getting approached and approaching other artists to do more art books because they're really fun. What else? I'm forgetting some important stuff, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
We work with Fish a lot on stuff too. I have to go back in and remind myself because I'm blanking because I was asked directly and now I can't remember anything.
I had all the answers until you asked me.
Oh yeah.
We got Cthulhu is Hard to Spell, a really cool
yeah.
anthology. Actually, that's one that Fish is in.
Yeah.
I
should remember that one.
Yeah, that was created by Russell Nolte over at Wannabe Press, and then we took
I
it
have
over.
a story in that too.
Yeah. Actually, it's a lot of people, and there's people that I don't even realize have stories in it.
Nobody called me. No one called me at all.
Well, you make sure that you message me and let me know after the show because you are totally invited to do for Volume 7. We got Volume 7. We're working on it now.
Cool.
What else? Miss Medusa's Monsters Menagerie. Ugh, say that 5 times fast. Oof.
No, thank you.
Is what if in the 1960s, they had those traveling shows, but like the traveling freak shows, but what if those were run by mythical creatures? And Paul Hanley is the writer on that, and he built an entire universe. He did so much research about there's the themes of the racism and the unfairness, and he blended that all in there, and just the weirdness of the 60s it's all in there. And I highly recommend you get the book and look at the backgrounds because Paul did the backgrounds, and you spend a minute and a half on a page or something, right? And there's so much detail in there. You could just lose yourself for hours in every single page because he left nothing out.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even a blade of grass is missing. It's crazy.
It's beautiful. Like the bumper stickers and stuff are like my favorite part. Like the little details in the background. It's gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah, very,
Yes.
very cool. I have to check that stuff out.
Yeah, we also have a TTRPG book called The Sundering, which if you're into tabletop games, you should definitely check that out. It's pretty good too. And a bunch of one-shots. I could be here all day talking about them.
All right, so Dave, the important question here is when are we bringing Sinbad back?
Plugging yourself, Dan. I don't know. We don't have them on the schedule yet, but we're planning 2025 like next month. So we'll see what we can do.
All right, so what is coming up for Zenoscope?
I mean, basically, for anybody who doesn't know our brand, we're going on our 20th year. So next year's our 20th year anniversary. We basically take a lot of the fairy tales, twist them into a modern day horror mixed with fairy tale, mixed with superhero universe called the Grimm Universe. What we do now is like we have Grimm Fairy Tales, which is our main line, like our main storyline, where our main character is Snow White. It started out as like almost like a Grimm Tales or like a Tales from the Crypt, and it evolved and almost to a superhero universe. So we have Snow White who guards our world, like Earth, from like Wonderland, Neverland, Oz, and Mist, where all the fairy tales live. And within this universe, we have a ton of different books that spin out of it. So we have like Van Helsing, who's actually Van Helsing's daughter. She's been time hop from the 1800s to the present, and each story is set in the present. It's a modern day steampunk monster story. So like Van Helsing versus Frankenstein, the Mummy, Dracula, werewolf, Dracula's daughter. Then we have Belle, which is Beauty and the Beast mixed with Batman, set in a modern day Philadelphia. She's a beast hunter passed down from mother to daughter, and now it's her turn to take over the family legacy. So it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast mixed with Greek mythology and hunting. And then we have like Robin Hood. It's kind of like a female Punisher. She was a girl in our world that got pulled into the fairy tale world, became the legend of Robin Hood. Now she fought her way back to get vengeance on the people who destroyed her life. And now she spends her time kind of being like a fixer for hire. She helps other people with supernatural things that they can't take care of themselves. So we do a lot of like different fairy tale oriented stuff, as well as a new book that we've come out with. Like I think it was like 2 years ago. We're trying to expand into stuff outside the Grimm universe. We have like Man, Goat, and Bunny Man, which is about two buddy cryptids that live alone in a cabin in the woods together, and they hunt other.
Book.
What's
such
that?
Such a good book.
Thanks. No, yeah, it's one of my favorite things we've ever like made here, and it's very goofy and very silly, but at the same time violent and crazy. So it's like when Bunny Man gets scared, he kind of poops himself like a rabbit when he's trying to run away from getting hunted, and then Man Goat is he'll drink beers. He's more a little badass, and he'll eat the cans afterwards. It's a weird dynamic, but it's just a really fun. Like Bigfoot's in it. He collects butterflies. He's not really like a monster. I think he is, but he isn't. So like we're basically going to be expanding. Like for the next year, we're going to be keep going with like Grimm Fairy Tales. Pretty much just kind of growing our universe, creating new stories with outside of the universe. We have a Tales of Terror series that we're doing, like as we're doing the backer kit for like Cindy, we're doing a Kickstarter for this Tales of Terror TV series that we're trying to launch, which is basically our Tales of Terror is our crypt keeper for that is like Keris, the goddess of death, and each story is a modern retelling of like urban legends that have like basically really like not always violent, not always like terrible twists, but different twists at the end of each story. So yeah, I mean we're pretty much growing that. We have our kids line, Silver Dragon, where we have like we only have a few books in there now. We have Just Princesses, Jurassic Strike Force 5, and then Princess Ninjas, which is kind of like Powerpuff Girls mixed with Ninja Turtles mixed with princesses. So yeah, I mean we got a lot going on. We love creating. We do a lot of the stuff in house. All the stories, most of the story pretty much comes from in house, and then we'll reach out to writers or artists, or we'll write them ourselves or whatever, like just to get them going. I read that the one book you asked about Cthulhu's Hard to Spell. So I have that on my. I'm at the office, so I can't pull it and prove that I read it. But I read that. I like that. It was really cool. And it's funny because we just did a Cthulhu stuff last year, but I never read H.P. Lovecraft until till last year or the year before, and I read like every book he's done. And then I read that, and I was like, it was just cool, kind of seeing like different takes on like the Cthulhu and Lovecraft mythos. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Again, I can ramble on forever. I got a lot of cool stuff, and I love being a part of it. So, I mean, hope we can get more people jumping on these, like everybody's books, so we can make more comics. And it's just fun. It's just makes life better.
All right. What about you, Fish? I watched a video this morning on TikTok of you loading up 4 issues of Caw to send out to somebody, and little stickers and bookmarks and stuff like that. So what do you got going over there at Mr. Fish Comics?
I started working at Indie Comics like 5 years ago, and I'm almost at 90 books that I've worked on now in the last 5 years. And most of that is the penciler, inker, letterer, colorist, everything but like the editor. And I'm on like my 14th book of my own now with the Alice Lost in Wonderland. And it has been a crazy couple of years. I just last Thursday finished packing up all the orders for the Kickstarter for Caw, the Mighty Caw, the Cro-Magnon issues 1 through 4 Kickstarter, and dropped it off at the mail Friday as we were leaving out of town for a con to go do that con. And then we got back, and then I loaded everything up into the TikTok shop again because I had sold out, and then packed my first order and dropped it off today. And now here I am right now, just hustling. I kind of would have liked maybe another month before Comictopia started if I could have had to get Caw out and then do this full time. But, I managed to juggle it pretty good. I'm kind of proud of myself. The book has come out awesome. There's 1 page left with the colorist who is my son, and I'm sharing the job with this one with him. And it's awesome. I've been working on this story for 30 years. So he's grown up hearing this story his entire life. And it's a little overwhelming, I think, sometimes for him to realize that, like, he's helping bring these characters to life in color in a book that's going to be printed and seen by thousands of people. And so I think he's overthinking that last page a little too much. But he's doing such a great job. It's so beautiful.
Cool.
Fish is the colorist for Granica too, so he's been
Oh,
working.
really?
He's been busy.
It's really weird because all I wanted to do as a kid was grow up and work in indie comics, and indie comics were black and white, like back in the day. Like, I learned how to do zipatone and all the halftones and all that stuff because I wanted to do weird independent grayscale comics like Ninja Turtles and things like that. That's what I wanted to do when I grew up. And now I work in indie comics and they're all freaking color. And so I had to like learn color theory and how to color and all this stuff to do it myself because I couldn't afford to hire anybody else. And the fact that now, like, the last 3 jobs I've gotten hired on were just as colorist kind of freaks me out a little bit because I still think like I'm just faking it and somebody's going to realize that I'm not really a colorist. But, I'm getting paid and it's getting published, so I guess I'm doing a good job.
Oh, I understand what you're talking about, man. When I first got into comics, I literally accidentally founded my own company, started off, just wanted to be a writer. Next thing you know, I am drawing layouts, inking, lettering, coloring, doing all the graphic design, on the phone with Diamond, on the phone with the printer. And it's like, I just wanted to write scripts,
Yeah. Story of my life too. That's what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing everything the same way. I guess we have to do it like indie comics are just this place not where we're doing it not just because we don't have the budget, but also because it is very fundamental that any person who is venturing into indie comics knows every step of the process. And it's very important. Like, I come from graphic design. Like, I have 20 plus years of graphic design before I even started working in comics. And it was all about knowing how the sausage was made so that no one could tell you, oh, this is not possible.
Yeah.
And it is possible when you know. I know, to complete what Dan said, I started drawing because there was no other choice. It has to be that, or I couldn't process with my ideas. And then I didn't want to get into colors because I was afraid of them. And then at one point, you're like, you have to go for it, and you have to do it. So I understand you. Sometimes you need to be the colorist or the letterer by default, but you end up liking it. And I've colored
I
for
don't.
other
I
people.
don't like it at all. Coloring, I
I hated
horrible at
inking
colors.
so much. I only
love
learned it out
inking.
of necessity, and now it's my favorite part. Now it's the part that I love the most, but I hated it going in.
Yeah.
It's like every once in a while I think about maybe I should try to letter some books again because I see such bad lettering out there. It's like,
Yeah,
do you know
that's
what
also
you're
the
supposed
thing
to
is
be
that
doing?
there's so many books that are like letter with feet instead of hands.
It and there's so many great tutorials and stuff out there, and so many places that you can find good information to
Yeah,
do it better
yeah,
and not make
yeah,
some of these amateurish mistakes.
yeah.
And it just, oh, it frustrates me so much
You
when,
know,
like, I've bought books that are awesome, but I literally cannot read them because it's
yeah,
too small or it's too cramped or whatever.
Yep.
lettering is just like editing. Lettering and editing go together because it's the thing that you should not see, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
you understand that without them, the comic is not released to its full potential.
Yeah. Or
And
just
Yeah.
without,
simply, yeah, just simply where the reader's eyes go. Because I mean, the
Mhm.
art's designed to the old backwards S, take the reader through the page onto the next page. And if the dialogue balloons are all over the place,
right,
and taking their eyes away from the natural flow, then you're undoing what the artist is doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So,
Absolutely.
all right, let me
exactly.
throw some of the comments in here. Ed asks, "Is Comictopia a yearly event?" I'm not sure. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first Comictopia.
Mhm.
Backer
This
Kid
is the
is
first,
just getting
yes.
into really doing a big push to get comic people, and this was their thing. There's 27 different books on Backer Kid. 17 of them have already funded. Um, so yeah, it's a pretty good start, and I have a feeling they'll do more. But again, don't know how often or what their plan is. And Ian Richardson has joined the chat. Says hi to everybody. You were talking about
Hi, Ian.
his art book. You have 2 of his art books
Yeah,
out.
we just completed the Kickstarter for a second art book, and we're working on finalizing the pages. And as soon as we get the Kickstarter money, we'll be sending that off to the printer.
Very cool. All right, let's throw this out there. By the way, you guys all talked about your publisher. I'm really just a freelancer. I do work for Dynamite. I do work for Ethereal, stuff like that. But it's kind of funny right now because Dynamite, when I started writing these books was a couple of years ago. And then suddenly they've made deals with Disney and Hanna-Barbera. And it's like, yeah, we've got this book with a lot of sex and nudity and stuff. So we're going to just kind of put it out, but we want to be quiet about it. So the Kickstarter thing is really important to us because it's like Disney doesn't want, look, it's, it's Maleficent and Karma. We don't, So, all right. So what does the Kickstarter mean to you guys? I mean, Dave, you're at a company that does huge books through Diamond and whatnot, but you guys are using Kickstarter. Fish, I think Kickstarter is your main avenue of right. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, my first place my books go out is through my Patreon, and people can subscribe for like $10 and get a new physical book every month from me. And it's been like 13 months now, and I've shipped out 14 books, so I'm living up to the promise. I make a point that they get my books first before anybody else because they're subscribing every month, and then the Kickstarter backers get them, and then then they go up for sale. But yeah, between Patreon and Kickstarters and work for clients, that's paying my bills and paying my mortgage and keeping the lights on. But but I'm also like doing it all myself. We're a small time publisher. That's where I pack and ship everything, and film it all so I can make videos so people can know to come buy my books. And it would be nice to work for a publisher and just be able to make awesome books and hand it to them and then do interviews and stuff. But, gotta get there.
I mean, and then talk on that too. Like, well, first I want to say hi to Ian. We've done covers together. Like, so he just actually did one the other month for us for Grim Fairy Tales. But like, same thing. Like, when people look at our publishing company, they're like, oh, it's huge, and it's like we're doing the same. We're doing the backer kit and the Kickstarter stuff. Basically, the same reason. Like, comics are expensive. Comics are expensive, and they're hard to do. And like that, a lot of people don't understand that. It's like it's a lot of work that goes into it, and like like it's hard to make your money back quickly enough to fund the next book and things like that. So a lot of these, especially when like for us, we're doing the omnibus print and trade paperbacks. Like they're just like very expensive things that like suck away from everything else we do here because we're not a huge company. We only have maybe like 12 people that work in the entire thing. But our editorial is right now it's currently just me and one and two freelance editors. So we kind of it's a very helpful thing to have like the Kickstarters and the backer kits because it pretty much frees us up to be able to make more content without having to bury people all the time with like the same books over and over again. I mean, I'm sure everybody does it the same reason, same why. It's we're in it the same way. It's like you got to do it to make the next book. You got to do it to keep the dream going. Like, I mean, we all love comics. Like especially here, like we love making comic books, and it's like, how do we make more? How do we get more out there in the hands? Because we have like a million stories to tell, and it's like there's not enough time and there's not enough money to tell all of them. So it's like using these programs help us kind of like tell all the stories we can with like a billion more in the pocket ready to go.
We
How about
also
you
we
guys?
also have access to an audience that we never met before. And
Yeah.
I know that when I started my company, Zenescope was one of the companies that I was looking at because you guys were present at a lot of shows at the time. It was before COVID. There was a lot of shows where, oh, Zenescope's there. Zenescope's always there. Zenescope's everywhere. And I was like, okay, this is a good strategy because you found your audience there. Now, through the crowdfunding, the backer kits and the Kickstarters, you find another audience that never heard of you. That's the thing that I really learned through my journey as a small publisher is that 99% of people, wherever you show up, have no idea who you are. And you can go to a con every year at the same con, be placed at the same table, same location, still 99% will don't know who you are because it's not the same people every year. And it's only every 2 or 3 years that you kind of see the same people, except for the early adopters. The great thing about the crowdfunding platforms is that you can accelerate the acquisition of customer faster and you have loyal customers, you have not loyal customers, and it creates this platform where you can thrive, but also get more headaches. I think every one of us had headaches with campaigns.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. How about you, Sarah? You guys, I'm not sure about Laguna. What is your main distribution channel? Are you Kickstarter or I should say crowdfunding since we're not on KS and we are over at Backer Kit. So are you crowdfunding main? Do you distribute? What's the
Yeah, Kickstarter and now BackerKit have been our main sources of getting our stuff out there. We did just sign a deal with Diamond, so start looking in a couple of months to see our stuff in stores, and go to your local comic book store and tell them you want Laguna Studios books there. But they're not there yet, so we just finished submitting for like the very first one, and we still have no idea what we're doing with that. So it's we're in the process of learning about that right now because it's interesting that their processes and methods and it's businessy stuff, so it's not exactly it's not as straightforward as it should be sometimes, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's all you have to do. So it's been very fun, interesting learning experience. But primarily we had been Kickstarter and BackerKit, and I think we're gonna probably stick with that for quite a while unless things change, drastically in the future. We'll probably stick with that, and Kickstarter's been good to us. So and BackerKit's been amazing.
Hmm.
good? Good. All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about BackerKit and crowdfunding. Now, Ian asks if it's a successful marketing tool, but I'm wondering if it's a marketing tool, or how do you market your campaign? How do you get the word out? Because that seems to be the biggest thing. You know, you can get 300-400 backers, but you have to work your ass off to get that type of thing. So
Mhm.
what are your guys' tricks? Anybody wants to jump in?
Oh, you got to build that email list, don't you? Like that, you got to build that
I
email
don't think
list, and
that's
then
enough. I don't think
oh,
that's enough,
absolutely
Sarah.
not. No, that's where I always default to for a beginning. But that is, you can't only rely on email at all. No,
No.
because like, what does email end up getting you? Something like, if you're lucky, you get a 10-15%
Wow.
turnover rate when you like.
I would say
If you
2
get
to
that,
5%.
really? Okay,
Yeah.
so well, okay. So to be fair, I was looking at that on the last erotic comic that we did, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good, right?" So, but for some reason, I can't imagine what that reason is. The erotic comics do a little better than the other stories, don't they?
Okay.
Go
Hey,
figure.
Scott, if you can hear me, can you drop some links into the chat for the different books, please? Or at least one for Comictopia. And then, okay. So what about you, Fabrice? What are your marketing ideas? And
The thing is, it's, how do I put it? Every crowdfunding is painful. Every campaign is painful. Like every time for a full year in 2022, I even had like crowdfunding fatigue. I couldn't go there anymore because it was too exhausting, and I wouldn't get any of the results that I wanted. Like I was showing Lady Bird earlier. Lady Bird started as a Kickstarter, and I exhausted myself just to get 129 backers. And it was very frustrating because you think you're doing everything you can. You're paying ads, you have a mailing list, you're talking about it, you jumped on podcasts, but still people are not reacting. And then the book comes out, and boom, you sell 2,000. And so sometimes the product that you offer on Kickstarter, the product that will be in the stores, people don't see it the way you see it. I had the same thing like a month ago, 2 months ago, sorry. I had a Kickstarter for one of my creator-owned series called Intertwine, which I actually started at Dynamite in 2016 before getting my rights back and republishing it through Fast Greg Graphics. And the campaign had a hard time getting over $6,000. You would think $6,000 is not that much for a book that retails at 50, because it's a 300 pages hardcover book. But it was very difficult just to get people interested. Why? Because on Kickstarter, on BackerKit it's probably a little different, but on Kickstarter, you know that 60 to 80% of your backers come from the ecosystem. You have no way of reaching out to them, except if Kickstarter decides that you're going to be a priority and they're going to put you in their mailing list, they're going to blast your campaign. You have no way of reaching out to these people. So basically, you're shooting in the dark blind, and it's really really disturbing to know that your potential is there, but you don't decide if you're going to get Projects We Love, which is the badge that helps you being seen. There are so many projects. There are probably 300 projects a week or 300 a month. It's very difficult now with crowdfunding to be seen, to be heard, and also people's wallets are not extensible to death. So at one point, they will have to make a choice, and they might not choose you. So it is always that's why it's sometimes disturbing when the big brands are on the crowdfunding platform, because some of them do need it, some of them don't, and it's very difficult to exist outside of your own sphere. I use Kickstarter basically just like everybody else as research and development. Like we're funding the project or partially funding the project, And most of our business is at conventions and through Diamond, but it's a good starter. It's a good starting point to make your sourdough bread.
Yeah. Well, I think what you mentioned the bigger companies and kind of being here for Dynamite and Dave here for Zenoscope. I think for some of the bigger companies, and I'm not saying those are big companies, are kind of the in between, but it gives them a chance to try out something
Yeah,
like doing an omnibus for Cinderella, or Dynamite collected all of the original Gargoyles comics from the past into a 3 collection set, and they went huge. I mean, I think it did over 1 million.
because it's a brand that people know.
Right.
Most of us have brands that people don't know, or they do know, but in a very limited fashion. So it creates this distortion. I mean, I understand when Keanu Reeves goes to Kickstarter and makes $1 million. That sounds like Keanu Reeves, normal. Or when G.I. Joe comes and it's $3 million all of a sudden, it's the brand you know, it's the name you know. But who cares about Fabrice or Fish or Sarah? No offense to anyone, we're all great. But our brands are simply not as known as the others, and we have to accept that. So comparing ourselves to the others will not help you. Like, I realized that at first, I don't know if you guys remember it, but at first the Kickstarter campaigns were, oh, you have to do everything on the first 48 hours, then nothing, then the last 48 hours. But that's not my story. My story is that I start okay, and then it keeps climbing steadily for the whole campaign. And it's always the case. And it's again the case on that Backer Kid campaign. It's like my first day was okay, but it was not spectacular. But I've steadily climbing the chart up to being funded, and now we're over that threshold. And I guess it's for everybody a different story.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing over at Zenoscope to promote Cinderella?
Well, that's the funny thing is we're learning as we go. This is all new to us, so we're kind of like, I mean, we've had like 19 years of doing conventions and kind of growing things, and it's still crazy and new to us because like even some of our campaigns, I think this one only has like 200 something backers. I mean, which is high like for certain campaigns, but like we're not seeing all of our fans translate over to Backer Kid or over to Kickstarter, and it's kind of new and difficult at the same time, kind of figuring out the right way to get the information out there. I mean, we can do the mailing list, but again, it's not everybody's opening it up, not everybody's converting over to there. But also too, again, you're like, there's so many projects on there, so it's like, how do you get people to fund yours over someone else's that like they might like more, they might know from. I mean, so even us, like we've only really been doing this for like steadily for the past year, and so every new project is a new like learning experience. Like every project's different, so we don't even know. Like like our Wonderland project would be different from the Oz project, or like we just don't. Yeah. We don't know what we're doing yet, so we're kind of like learning it as we go. It's weird because like we've done the conventions for almost 20 years. We've done the going through Diamond for almost 20 years, and like we know how to grow there. We know what we can do there, and here it's like we have no idea. Like we're kind of just like we're learning as we go. But it's like it's definitely strange, like when you look at the stuff, and I feel the pain, and I understand that the same thing where it's like it doesn't make any sense. Like I've reached out to all these people, I've gotten all these people, and then it's like not coming in because we're seeing the same thing. We're like, what's going on? Like we thought we'd be able to like put something up there, and people are like, oh, cool, you guys have it here too. I can get it here before I get it anywhere else. And it's like, yeah, they're like, all right, well, I'll wait. And then it's like, well, if you wait, it doesn't exist. Like the only way it's going to exist is if we do it through here. Like you can't wait. Yeah,
I'll pick up a copy after. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that. Like, yeah, it's like cool, but like there is no after. It's like it either exists now or yeah. But so I mean, we're learning it that way. Like it's we've had success with it, but it's like it's not where like not like where we imagine, but it's more like it's just like we're trying to teach ourselves how to build a whole new part of the company, and that's really what this is. but we're not bringing in a whole new team to run this. It's the same people that's putting your stuff, going to the conventions, same people that's doing our live streams, same people that's doing shipping our normal books. Like we're basically just, we're growing another arm, but we're not getting another body. So
Oh, I feel that hard.
Mhm.
Okay,
It's
we've
just
got
us. Yep.
we've got about 10 minutes left, and we got 5 of us. So why don't we take about 2 minutes each and give that last plug for your Kickstarter? So we'll start with Mr. Fish.
My book is Alice Lost in Wonderland. It is a full-grown Alice and the Tin Man. They are lost in an interdimensional rift between worlds called Wonderland, and every story you've ever heard of comes crashing together from different alien planets. She's on the run from time-worshipping cult armies, ghosts, criminal warlords. She's bound by a magical contract. She's hunting for the White Rabbit and trying not to get her head taken off by the Queen of Hearts. Action-packed, sexy woman on the cover. She's a beautiful badass. It's an awesome book.
Okay, you didn't even take you got another few minutes, about another minute.
Oh, I can keep going forever, man. It's a story I have literally been working on for 30 years, and it is got my whole life tied into it. It started as a power fantasy in the beginning, like what if I could go anywhere and do anything, and now it's really more about the different people you are at different stages in your life. You know, who you are when you're a kid, when you're an adult, when the world kicks you in the teeth, when you're a wise elder, all those things. Thank you, Ian.
All right, Dave, you're the writer on Cinderella. You're the one that put that whole big omnibus together. Why is your Cinderella different than the one who didn't or had to leave the ball early?
Well, our Cinderella, she likes to make friends with a lot of different fairy creatures like raccoons and weird talking turtles and a bunch of other creepy things that she finds throughout her adventure. So she goes to like the fairy world, so she's a little insanity there. But then we have like the Christmas special where she deals with Krampus and a lot of like crazy. It basically there's a lot of parodies thrown into it, so it's more of it's just a dark comedy. The whole entire book is just dark comedy. Basically, lets me be the worst version of my brain without any filters and craziness, and that's what she is. But she's trying to be good, but doesn't know how to. But yeah, I mean that's really it. Like she's crazy. If you like crazy, you like funny, fun, and animals and a lot of blood, then we're good. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. We hit our funding goals, so I don't want to suck up too much time from everybody else. So yeah, hope you guys check it out, like it, and read it forever. That's all. That's all we ask.
Yeah. Cindy's bat-ass crazy. You need to know that. And she talks to animals like they talk back. Okay. She is an absolute blast. All right, Sarah.
Speaking of Sarah,
I backed all you. Oh, that one took a second. Damn, Fish. That was cold.
I say it out. You know you talk to your cats. I know you talk to your cats.
All right, fair. I can't argue with that one. What were you asking?
Your last sales pitch for Granica. You got.
Oh shit.
And then we'll get you some lotion for that burn.
Fish is on my list now. Granica is about Ness, who's a computer engineer who got a job taking a couple of pampered rich kids to Mars, where, and this is a universe in which Mars has been populated now. They book a glorified hotel room to float them from Earth to Mars, and it's supposed to be just the 3 of them, but when Ness arrives, there's suddenly this mysterious fourth person named Jerry there. And Ness has brought along a travel pet, which is a robot cat, but this cat's special. It's got a little secret. And so we spend the first issue here, we're trying to learn about who this mysterious Jerry is and why is the robot cat special. And then we're leaving you, I don't know. It should be an easy job for Ness, but this is all getting complicated by all these different things happening. And also there's space food and it's not good, and that is a little bit of comic relief in there too. So it's a really good story, and I'm doing a horrible job of trying to push it here. So, and also I backed all y'all's books, and I can't wait to read them.
Thank you.
All right, our time is running out. So Fabrice, tell us about time running out in no future.
Yeah, well, the future is canceled. You already know that. There's no future. That's why. And tomorrow is yesterday. It's post-apocalyptic. It's like The Walking Dead, but without zombies. Instead, time is destroyed, and the world keeps going backwards. It's like the time tunnel, except you're only going one way, and it's in your back. So start with your rear mirrors. Pick up No Future. It's from Eder Messias on art, me on script, and I'm doing a variant cover. Koi Fam also has a variant cover. It's 32 pages of goodies. Issue 2 is already done. So if we get to 20K, you'll get not just one issue, you'll get 2 issues. It's a beautiful book. Please back it. It's a killer. 15 years in the making.
All right. And that leaves me with Karma. Look, let's be honest here. We're all enjoying watching Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship grow, whether you admit it or not. It's kind of neat to see. Well, that's kind of what Karma is. It's a look at very popular people in a very strange world as they're trying to build a relationship. We're on volume 2. It has this beautiful interior art by Carlos Renaud. It's sexy. It's erotic. And we've got covers by, this is volume 1 up here, Stepan Sejic. I mean, the guy kind of created this genre with Sunstone and fine print. Mirka Andolfo, Sweet Paprika. And then a good friend of mine, Michael D. Pascal, is doing covers as well. He and I worked together back over at Avatar, of all places. That was a long time ago. But it's a story about relationships. It's a story about bondage and all the things in between. So, all right, guys. Any last thing you want to throw out there? Thank you, everybody in the chat, by the way, for joining us.
Yeah, indie comics are amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. There you
Indie
go.
comics.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks
thank
for having
you.
me.
All right,
Absolutely.
Fabrice with no, Fabrice
Future.
with no future. I'm combining the names. Fair Square Graphics, No Future. It's on Comictopia right now. Backer Kit. Sarah White, Laguna Studios in Granica, also on Backer Kit. Dave Franchini from Zenoscope with the Cinderella Omnibus, also on Backer Kit. And of course, Fish Lee, Mr. Fish Comics, and Alice Lost in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm here with Dynamite and promoting Karma. So please check them all out. Help us out. Back the stories and tell your friends. Remember to cross each one of us.
Cross promote.
Cross
Yes.
promote. Each one of us has a publisher we're working with, and you get bonus rewards if you buy both books. And then there's something about a comic that if you buy 5 books, I think it is, you get a special comic. Well, guess what, folks? 5 books right here. Back each of these, and you're going to get that special book.
Easy peasy.
So, that's
And
right.
the team up book is really great, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It's really
Yeah,
cool.
there's a page from everybody in that team up book. So if you're a Karma fan, a Cinderella fan,
I got to work on 2 of them.
Yeah.
There you go. So thank you again, and we will see you all very soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.